You're listening to Comic Reflections. I'm Nicholas Prom.
And I'm Spencer Valdez.
Welcome to episode number 15.
Yep.
All right. So, why do you get us started there?
Yeah, webcomic of the week this week.
Oh,
We have it's from Tumblr. It's gingerhaze.tumblr.com. And it's a...
Dot Tumblr or at Tumblr? I don't know how they mentioned
I think it's .tumblr.
Okay.
Yeah. This artist, Noelle, it didn't give a last name on the site. I couldn't really find one.
Okay.
She does a lot of standalone shots of different standalone like panels.
One panel cartoons, okay.
Of just her. They seem like doodles, but they have like a kind of a story behind them. There's one with Ant-Man and Loki, and Loki's being attacked by Ant-Man and some ants, and that's just kind of funny.
Yeah.
But
it is.
Yeah, they're silly comics. There's one with Batman kind of stabbing Bane with his pointy ears.
Yeah.
And yeah, so they're silly comics, and then she has kind of an ongoing series, the Broship of the Ring. It's kind of a spin off of the Lord of the Rings.
Bro.
Yeah, and I think it's more set in this time period.
What do you mean this time period?
Ours.
Contemporary?
Yeah, contemporary time
Thank
period.
you.
Yeah. And
the words are good. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's a silly kind of
Parody?
Yes, that's the word I'm looking for. Thank you.
Wow, we are just dynamite today.
This is why you have a partner on a show.
I know, right?
Yeah, so check her out. She's clever and funny, and I think they're all really funny. So
Okay.
gingerhaze.tumblr.com.
Okay.
Yes.
Groovy.
So why don't we jump into the comics we read this week?
Yes. Indeed.
We can jump into Action Comics number 12.
A little lighter on our amount of books we picked up
definitely.
this Wednesday. I think it's the calm before the storm.
Yes.
0 month is coming.
Right.
So, DC Comics. Anyway,
Yes.
so.
Yeah, so we picked up Action Comics number 12.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Yeah. And
it's good. Superman.
Yeah.
Grant Morrison's writing it.
Always a great story behind Superman, and I mean...
Oh, and Rags Morales on art. Win.
Yes, definitely.
Man, I tell you, I really wish I'd have... If I'd have known Grant Morrison was writing Action Comics, I would have picked it up from the beginning.
Oh, right.
But, started with last issue, and I don't feel too bad, because it's good stuff.
No, and it's kind of a good place to jump in as well.
Yeah, number 11 was a pretty good jumping point. I wasn't too confused, and now with this one, I've gelled in with where we're at with Superman.
Right, and so last time we had Action Comics with Superman. Almost said Spider-Man. That's terrible.
Man, that is.
Action Comics. We talked about his new identity. This Johnny Clark firefighter.
Yeah, well, so much for that idea. Yeah. I'll just say that. I don't want to give away too much of the plot, but
right.
I'm dig this. It's a younger Superman. It's a Superman who looks to Batman for advice all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes he wears a T-shirt and jeans as Superman. Sometimes he wears his goofy, too much costume with a collar and
right.
armor and junk. I'm like,
yeah.
Keep it simple, gang. But I'd almost welcome the T-shirt being his thing he does in the league. Over this, it's silly. I mean, anyway.
Superman doesn't need armor.
Yeah, he's invulnerable.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. So.
Yeah. So, elaborate costume.
Superfluous.
Elaborate costume. But story tends
It's
to...
interesting.
Yeah.
There's cool things going on in this book. There's this weird villain from the future or something.
Yeah, I don't even remember his name.
I don't think they've really revealed it.
Okay.
So.
But yeah, he's going after Lois's niece.
Who's psychic and I guess is part of the future people. It's weird, but
yeah,
it's good. I mean, it's a good read.
Yeah.
Grant Morrison does not disappoint.
That's
true. At any point ever.
That's true. You get to see some of Superman's cool.
Grant Morrison. Okay. Okay, I'm done. I've got it out.
His cool powers that you don't see very often. His super reading, and
he reads a thumb drive.
Right.
What?
Yeah.
Some of the superpowers I'm really it harkens back to the Silver Age. He used super ventriloquism or I'm not even kidding. A lot.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, even super breath is kind of ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
Freeze breath. You know what I'm like. But yeah.
It's silly, but I mean it's Superman, and
Superman's great.
It's that yellow son of the earth, man. It'll do stuff to you.
Yeah.
So let's move on. This is a great comic. Pick it up.
You're digging this a lot?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm really digging Night Owl.
Oh man,
number
this
2.
This and Minutemen are definitely the best 2 books in the before Watchmen books.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with you.
Night Owl, I'm like, some of these other ones were like, and then number 2 was kind of like, I don't know now, whatever.
Yeah.
This is like, oh man, I am so hooked on this book.
Yeah. With kind of the disappointment we had with the comedian.
It dissipated. There's a second issue seemed a little better.
Yeah.
Of the comedian, but
this one.
This is great. I mean, it's Andy and Joe Kubert, and even though Joe is just inking it, it looks like he's doing the pencils. It's very classic Kubert style. I remember Andy doing like some of the malarkey X-Men books in the 90s, and just that's ignorable, forgettable stuff. But I guess we're working with Dad. They keep that classic Kubert style. It looks great.
Awesome.
And they're doing important stuff. DC comics.
Oh, sad.
Kubert's on Marvel just doesn't work.
Right.
Especially X-Men. Crap.
This Night Owl though, we continue to team up with him and Rorschach.
Yeah, it talks about their partnership.
Yeah,
we're seeing that, and then they're kind of dynamic, and they don't always get along.
No, but I mean, I think they're realizing that this relationship is mutually beneficial.
And also, it's cool because we get lots of cool flashbacks to, Dan Dreiberg, the second Night Owl, his childhood,
right,
and also his, and once he's become Night Owl, his kind of continued mentorship from the original Night Owl, from Night Owl, from the Minutemen.
Mm-hmm.
Neat book.
Right, and so we haven't had a Rorschach book yet.
But boy, he's in this.
But yeah, and so we get some kind of background into his story.
And his
as well.
series, I think, is going to be starting very soon.
Yeah, definitely.
Next couple of weeks, I think.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great story. We're introduced to another character. The kind of the madam.
The Twilight Lady.
The Twilight Lady.
She was in the original Watchmen.
Oh no, I meant in this.
Oh, okay.
This lineup. Sorry.
Yeah, she comes into play in this story. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I mean...
no pun intended.
Yeah, so, great. I love that you're picking this up because I get to read it.
Yeah, I bet you do. It's a good book. I've been enjoying it. So, yes, definitely keen on these before Watchmen books.
Yeah.
Night Owl is an especially good one.
Yeah. We also get Ozymandias coming out
next week, I think.
Next week, yeah.
Ozymandias number 2 is next week, and I'm pretty jazzed about that because that number 1 was excellent.
Absolutely, yeah.
That art was just gorgeous.
Moving on, I've been picking up World's Finest. Hunters
We've both been reading it.
We have, and it's just a great story. I mean, they're stuck on a different Earth.
Paul Levitz, who is he's a long timer at DC. He's writing the book, and it's where they kind of go through like the main story and then flashback series. The main story is written, or the art is by George Perez, who is awesome. And I like the flashback thing, and I like that they're 2 different artists. I kind of
it's cool.
I like it's funny. I'm really. The artist who's doing the flashback stuff is standing out for me more than Perez, who I really, I'm a big George Perez fan. I like this book. It's not one of my favorites that we pick up, but I find it an enjoyable read. I mean, it's not one that I'm like, oh my god, I can't wait for the next World's Finest. Me personally,
right?
But it's definitely a good book.
I'm enjoying it. I kind of got hooked by which book were they in? They were in Earth.
Yeah, they were in Earth 2, and they kind of in the number 1, and you had thought that they were killed, when the device is destroyed and to defeat Darkseid, and then Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman were killed. Mm-hmm. No, that they were propelled, I don't know, through somewhere into one of the parallel Earths.
Right. And so here they pick up as Power Girl and Huntress, And
they were on Earth 2 and they came to Earth 1, which is the same world where like the current Justice League book is taking place, and and most of the DC books are taking place there.
And so they're having a deal with Huntress. Her dad and mom aren't her dad and mom here. So
and they're younger than It's not just in a parallel world, but there's a time difference too, I think. So it's interesting.
Yeah, definitely. I like it. I'm gonna keep picking it up.
Yeah, it's a good book.
We just finished an arc, so if you're, I feel we just kind of finished an arc. If you want to pick it up, start with number 5, and I think you'll be okay.
Yeah, I mean, but there's only 4 other issues, and,
right?
You can get the bad issues.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, even you were able to get the first couple were ones that you were missing, right?
Right.
And I found the number 1. I got it. I found it online. Including shipping, I paid like just slightly above cover price. So
yeah,
I mean, it's really easily procurable.
Definitely.
If you just want to pick up the series. So
yeah.
So that's that.
So let's move over to the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, we picked up a few Marvel books as well this week.
Do you want to talk about the? Okay. Do you want to talk about the new Daredevil that came out?
Yeah, I mean, awesome. let us both talk about it.
Yeah.
I mean, we both read it.
Right.
No, it's really good. This is coming off of the current arc where Daredevil had his senses removed by these nano robots that not even Dr. Doom, but like some of his high up underling. I can't remember. He was like a
lieutenant or something.
Something. Anyway, this guy. They put these nanobots in his brain, and it kind of like shorted out all his senses. And he was rescued at the end of, number 15.
Yep.
Yeah, by Iron Man.
Iron Man, yeah.
And so they're working on, clearing these out. And so we've got Iron Man and Doctor Strange, and then a shrunken down Ant-Man in Matt's brain, in Daredevil's brain. So that's cool. And it's weird though, because Ant-Man's cybernetic helmet that allow him to control ants and can communicate with Iron Man and Doctor Strange, outside of whatever, out in the lab.
Right.
He and Daredevil were like sharing memories and stuff and thoughts at the time. It was really weird. So that was an interesting story because we were seeing a lot of parallels between their lives. I don't need to give... I'd be major spoilers if I went into more detail than that. But
yeah, a little bit.
Interesting. It's a little confusing in the first page. It was, be like, what?
Yeah.
But then you're like, oh, it all starts clicking. It's like, man, Mark Waid, your skill for writing clever story might be beyond the medium. And I mean that as a compliment.
Oh, yeah.
Because sometimes you're like, huh? But then it just takes a little minute to gel, and you're like, oh, that's brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
And reading this issue, you know what I'm talking about. And then we also see, after we have resolution of the nanobot thing, we see things are getting at the Nelson and Murdoch law firm.
Yeah.
Things are getting really tense between Matt and, his partner, Foggy Nelson. Yeah. And I think we're going to be dealing with that ongoing, continually in the issues to come.
Yeah, I mean, I've never really read Daredevil until this arc that you've been picking up, and man, I'm bummed that I haven't.
Yeah.
I think part of it was that I'd seen the movie and it was just
it's a bad movie.
Bad, and I was like, oh, if that's what Daredevil's like, I don't want any part of that, And so with you here and you kind of cheering me on to read Daredevil, I've dived in and man, like
you think this is good? I mean, and this is good.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'll lend you. I've got a couple of trades of some of the Frank Miller Daredevil stuff.
Awesome.
And I've got Daredevil comics. I should lend them to you. I don't know why I haven't.
I feel connected to him and his personal life.
Yeah.
I
identify with Matt Murdock a lot as a character.
It makes sense. Like his life.
He's so real.
Yeah.
So
I think that's what it is. His life seems so real that he's overcome this challenge, with being blind, and his senses have kind of taken over, and he's doing what he needs to do.
Yeah.
What I thought was cool in this story was the explanation of his senses even trying to overcome that of what the nanobots were doing.
Well, right. It was saying that, because, okay, his power is kind of like heightened senses, and it's kind of to look, and, and then the radar sense, which is a new sense he developed. This is to compensate for his lack of sight.
Right.
So this was kind of telling us that he was losing his sight, but then his brain, even though it's being taken over by these nanobites, and his body is finding ways to, it's awakening other senses that will allow him to compensate.
Right.
So Daredevil's power, perhaps we've been looking at the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
For his potential of what he can do.
Right.
For years.
I think it even mentioned that the memory of his senses, like, trying to overpower his limitations when he was out of it, started to fade away like a bad dream or something like that.
Right.
And I mean, wow, how powerful is that? He was realizing that maybe this is the tip of the iceberg, and then it just kind of like fades away.
Well, and then you go on, how there too, he's talking to Foggy. He's like, stop lying. Foggy says, stop lying to me. You're lying to yourself.
Right.
Okay. What if it's somewhere Matt has known there was a greater, the limits of his powers were not, what he really thinks they are, that there really is a greater depth to it, but he's ignored it or shut it out because that the idea is just too much for him to handle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's an interesting thing to think about there. I mean, and so it's like, wow, it's like, what, Daredevil's a character that's been around since the 60s, and we're still coming into breaking new ground with this character, and it's still an exciting read.
Yeah.
That's a testament to, a great dynamic character. Matt Murdock is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
So
thank you for pushing me to read this.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Eat your vegetables. Read your Marvel comics. Exactly. Because it's not just Daredevil. I'm like, look, I know you love DC, and I do too. Gotta read Marvel comics. Right. They're great.
So continuing in Marvel.
Yeah.
We have what I picked up this week, the Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe.
Yeah. Oh, this is definitely not a kid book.
No, absolutely not.
In fact, it says on the cover, it says parental advisory. Not for kids.
Yeah.
And when you read the book, you kind of, I wonder why.
Yeah.
No, it's pretty graphic.
And so on the cover, we have Deadpool holding the head of the Hulk.
I didn't even see that.
Yeah. And just the faces of a few of the
Avengers, I think.
Yeah. Just screaming and kind of looking like they're in pain.
Yeah. Now, granted, we don't see any of those characters other than Deadpool in this issue.
Right.
Well, I think I see Storm, though, so she is in the book. But anyway. Well, yeah, it's an alternate reality.
Yes.
And as we're kind of... we get a little vignette with the Watcher at the beginning to tell us that. And then it just kind of sets off Daredevil, or... Not Daredevil. Deadpool. Can you believe it? I just did that? Basically, he's going to kill everybody in the... All the characters we know. Including, we see him take out the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
And then we get into, like, how this starts. It's weird.
Right.
But, yeah.
So, really, until this, I didn't really know much about Deadpool at all.
Yeah.
I had mentioned earlier to you that I wanted to read him. He seems like an interesting character. I've heard about him and that he breaks the fourth wall.
Yeah, he does.
And
Deadpool is a great character once his creator, Rob Liefeld, stopped having anything to do with him.
Oh, okay.
Rob Liefeld sucks.
Okay.
His art is terrible. He doesn't have good proportions with characters. And then as a writer, he's even worse.
Wow.
So, but, people did better things with him. Even though I had some of those early issues of X-Force with Rob Liefeld art, and Deadpool was funny. Liefeld wasn't writing them.
Ah.
So
So again,
I mean, I've read some Deadpool stuff, and this definitely captures the character well. Do you feel like you're getting a good vibe for him?
Oh yeah,
or a feel for the character?
Again, the only real exposure to him I had was from a movie.
The movie sucks.
Yeah, and it was Ryan Reynolds who portrayed him.
Yeah, and his portrayal of Deadpool was fine up until he gets all those extra powers and all that crap, because that's not really the comic.
It was the writing or the story that
Bryan Singer, slut.
And so I was like, oh, that's cool. That guy's kind of cool, but I don't know anything about him, so whatever.
Yeah.
And so this really it lays out what his his abilities are, in the first couple scenes.
Yeah,
so,
he's a trained assassin, and he's just a master combatant, and he's got the regeneration,
right.
This healing factor.
And so going into this cold, I mean, it's great. I love it.
Number one. This is a good limited series, I think, to introduce people to the character of Deadpool.
Yeah.
It's definitely black humor. It's for dark stuff, but...
Yeah. And that's why it's not for kids. Because there't stabbing and killing and blood splatter. And,
well, fun for the whole family.
Right. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to continue to pick it up. I'm not sure how long it's going to go, but...
I wanted to say there was going to be 3 issues, but I could be totally wrong.
Right.
I don't think that's enough to kill everybody in the Marvel Universe, so...
He started off, doing it. He killed the Fantastic Four. It said that the thing was just rubble and rocks and dirt.
I don't know how you could magic that, but okay.
Right. And he kind of sneaks up on Susan Storm.
Word.
And
she thinks she killed him, but
right.
Don't spoil it all, but yeah.
Right.
Leave something for the reading, Spencer.
It's great. I'm gonna continue to pick it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Groovy. And you also picked up Hawkeye number one. So he's got a new ongoing series. Matt Fraction is writing it. I'm not familiar with what he's done, but I see his name around.
Okay.
So it's a buzzworthy, thing.
Right.
Matt Fraction writing it. Anyway.
I did have a question for you. When I read this, I felt like this story was going to be like a standalone, and that...
Oh, like it was going to be... Oh, this isn't the start of an arc.
Right. Did you feel that way at all? I don't...
Well, I think where this book is going, because this isn't... It's not like open it up and him fighting some supervillain.
Right.
This is very, very street level.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a different... you're going to see him fighting supervillains with the Avengers. Right. This, I feel, is going to be... taking the character in a very different direction. It's very more down to earth. I think that rather than the traditional, and this is just speculation at this point because we just read the first issue,
right.
But from reading this, I get the vibe that the character Hawkeye, Clinton Barton, he's going to be kind of on a journey throughout this series, just kind of more introspective stuff, and that those things that he's learning or whatever doing in his life are going to be the overarching theme. That's going to be the arc, but then the story itself will probably be fairly standalone, like each issue being kind of a small story. Right. I'm sure it'll get into multi-part things, but I can see that I can think or I feel that the earlier part of the run of this series is kind of go in that direction where it's going to be a little more standalone.
Mm-hmm.
And that's cool.
Yeah. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Yeah, it was very good.
He's dealing with a crooked landlord, and you get in flashes to different kind of time periods in the same story. So, there's the dog and the...
Right, you're going to get cuts to these other things.
Right.
And I think this is a clever thing. You're seeing that kind of in... you see that a lot. You get a scene, and then you're like, what? And then you're like, well, let's back up and tell you where we got that. Because that is the hook.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, we'll see that a lot in the books we read. Kind of get that in The World's Finest.
Yeah. They
did a little bit in the Deadpool book. A lot of these titles do that. And it's fine. It's good.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah.
It's interesting to me because he's I feel like he's dealing with the fact that he's in the Avengers in this book, and he doesn't really know his place in them right in this storyline. And then he's also like, well, I'm still this, I'm just I'm a crack shot, you know?
It's like, remember the things we were talking about when we read the Hawkeye limited series from the 80s?
Uh-huh.
It's the same thing about measuring up. We're like, man, everybody I work with is like got all these superpowers and all this stuff, and I'm just a guy. He's getting out of the hospital after falling on a car,
right?
Like off of a fire escape or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, this could be. I could see this being television very easily.
Oh yeah.
Even though, I mean, you're not gonna do a Hawkeye show. The Arrow show is coming out too.
Yeah.
So, no. But it's so funny though, because when I'm seeing this with the landlord, it immediately made me think back to the Green Lantern, Green Arrow. Remember? When Hal Jordan confronts, the people that are like throwing, like a fit with the guy, and then Arrow's like, you don't know what you're talking about, dude. This guy is like kicking all these people out on the street. He's a scumbag. So, it just kind of made me think of that. I mean, this is a little different story, but I thought that was kind of neat.
I thought it was really cool. We do have another book we can talk about. Oh. It was our free book that we got.
Oh yeah, that Batman. Oh yeah, if you went to your comic shop this last Wednesday, and probably may still have it.
Whenever you go.
Yeah. I don't know if everybody gets these preview books, but there was this preview book for the Batman Earth One graphic novel coming out. I think it was Gary Frank art. Was it Grant Morrison writing it?
Yeah.
Was it Jeff Johns?
Oh no, it was Jeff Johns.
Yeah, that's right. It was Jeff Johns. But Gary Frank art, really liked it. They had a preview for that, and then I think just as for something else that's been going on in Batman here lately.
Yeah.
Like for one of those.
The Court of Owls.
Was it part of the Court of Owls?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. It was just it was a little snippet from the trade because the Court of Owls is just wrapped up.
Oh, right.
So we were seeing just the very beginning of that.
Okay.
And it was more like a little just kind of montage, monologue, and we saw some stuff in Arkham. A riot in Arkham.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That was cool, yeah. So let's talk about that a little more.
Yeah, I read the first part,
I can't believe you didn't read that all in one sitting. It was so short.
Yeah, I'm a loser.
Yeah.
But all that just keeps coming back to me is Batman jumping and trying to make it across that gap after his the grappling hook.
Oh right, it seems like we're harkening back to again. We're getting flashbacks to the Waynes, and it's right before they're killed, and Thomas Wayne's running for some kind of office in the city,
mayor or something.
And they bring in Alfred as security measure because the Court of Owls, we're not mentioned as that, but we realize, having us read the Court of Owls story, that it's the Court of Owls that are making things hard for them. And then we're getting flashback to basically Batman Year One, flash forward to basically Batman Year One, like he doesn't know what he's doing yet.
Right.
And that's exciting.
I liked that they brought in Alfred.
Not a bumbling Batman, but an amateur Batman.
Yeah, who's still figuring out what his limitations are,
Even though he was, out of Gotham for 12 years, training in martial arts.
Right.
I almost wish he hadn't done that. You know what I mean?
Really?
Because then you could see Batman, like, screwing up. And, like, that's okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess you can just read Kick-Ass for that.
Yeah. But, you could.
But no, it's interesting. And, man, Gary Frank, I'm quickly becoming a big fan of his art.
Mm-hmm. I love that they brought in Alfred as the security guy,
and he had this relationship with Thomas Wayne,
right?
Not like a gay one, but like from the past, like they were in a war together or something.
Yeah, he said something about the desert, and so that's interesting. But seeing
weird. Well, if we're talking like, obviously it's not going to be. I'm just trying to piece it together in my mind. Not Golden Age continuity, because remember, post-crisis. Golden Age Batman Superman is apocryphal. Didn't happen when they were introducing Silver Age. So, I almost want to say maybe it was North Africa, World War II.
Yeah.
Like the Rat Patrol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Rommel's tank divisions.
I like Alfred as not just this proper English.
Was that too much of a tangent for you?
What do you mean?
Just me going into the history thing.
Oh, maybe a little bit, but I love history. So.
Okay. Yeah.
Not this, just proper English.
Well, yeah, I always knew that he was. They like in the Batman animated series, they played up that he was ex like British Secret Service or something.
And so
British
the
intelligence, some shit.
There it is.
Yep. Okay. Everybody gets one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's this relationship with Thomas Wayne that he has, and he's asking Alfred to protect him and his family from the backlash of him either winning the election or going through with the election.
Right, and we realize that the pressure is coming from the Court of Owls. So this is interesting because this is retconning, the Joe Chill, as the murderer of the Martha and Thomas Wayne. Maybe he was an operative of the Court of Owls, and it was just supposed to look like a mugging, so it'd be just untraceable.
Yeah,
just a random crime.
Right.
Oh, brilliant! Or is it so predictable? Like, Jeff Johns, I saw it coming.
Right.
I don't know. Being that it just dawned on me now, not so bad.
Right. Yeah.
I think that graphic novel, the Batman Earth 1, is the name of it. I think it's going to be a good read.
Oh, yeah. I would, if I had the means, I would definitely pick it up.
I know, because it's coming out in hardcover first. It's like,
yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. So, I'm excited for what's coming up in all these stories, especially in the Hawkeye and World's Finest, Huntress, and Power Girl. Mm-hmm. I'm just loving that story so much.
Loving every minute of it. All right. You just love comics.
I do love comics. It's an escape from mundane.
Everything that sucks.
Yeah. And the wife lets me read them. So.
Yay. She indulges your hobby.
She does.
No, and she's great for that.
So check us out or send us your emails, rather.
They're like, what the hell?
Yeah.
They're checking us out now.
Right. Send us your emails at comic.reflections@gmail.com.
Indeed.
We want to hear from you. We want to hear your opinions. If you think we suck, if you think the comics we read are sucking, let us know.
Yeah, or some book that, hey, why aren't you talking about that title?
Exactly.
Like, really, are we just missing something that's, like, really amazing?
Let us know.
And, look us up on the Book of Face. We're there, so you just search Comic Reflections there, and it'll come right up.
Yep.
And you can like us and annoy us there.
Absolutely.
Yes. So, until next time.
See you later.